So, folks, yes, you've heard it here in an exclusive sit-down with the New Yorker magazine. Darren Wilson said that, he's not a racist. Not at all. Not one bit. Not one iota. Yes, indeed, America, it is true. After murdering Michael Brown. Now, all right. Okay, yes. Some of you guys already hear like your heads exploding from spontaneous combustion because you're going to refer to the Department of Justice report that indicates that indeed Darren Wilson did not murder Michael Brown. Okay, yes, that is true. But let me say this. As science tells us, for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. So if Darren Wilson never acted, Michael Brown would never reacted. This is a situation where the police officer went just a little bit too far. But in the New Yorker they profiled former Ferguson police officer Darren Wilson for its August 10th issue, the one-year anniversary of Michael Brown's death at the hands of Darren Wilson, the biggest takeaway from the piece seemed to be that Wilson had an opportunity to be, to be a dumb kid who didn't give others like Mike Brown the same chance. And he doesn't really think race had anything to do with it. Now, I beg to differ. If you listen to the transcript, you listen to all the evidence that was produced during this case. And we've combed through it here at the Fowler Show. I've been on the ground in Ferguson a number of times. And the most striking thing to me is the language used, right? But remember, when Darren Wilson stopped Michael Brown, he didn't know Michael Brown had, if it indeed is true, because Michael Brown was not, charged by a jury of his peers. Darren Wilson did not know whether or not Michael Brown had robbed a store. He just saw him walking down Canfield Avenue. And as he was walking down Canfield Avenue, he decided to take it upon himself to say, "Get the F out of the street." Right? And that led to, a verbal spat between said police officer and Michael Brown, which further led to the death of Michael Brown. 10 shots, by the way. 1 shot, America in the leg, will take down a good suspect who's unarmed. 10? Just a little bit. No, bullshit. That is ridiculously obsessive. Right? Which is what gets us to this anniversary. And I also don't think, I'm a big believer, like, you can't look at this Darren Wilson thing in a vacuum. And I think, that's what we've seen people do. We've seen conservatives and the hashtag All Lives Matter people try to take out these individual cases and look at them in a vacuum. So, you have your your Michael Brown case in a vacuum, separate and apart from the fact that, Eric Garner was choked 11 minutes by police officers in New York City. So you can't look at this in a vacuum. This is a crisis of epic national proportion. Right? Because it's not the first time, not the second time, not the third time, not just a couple of bad apples. This is a systemic problem that exists in communities across the country. You have a situation where there's a breakdown of respect and communication between police officers and the communities where they serve. Problem number 1. Many of the police officers, including Darren Wilson himself, don't live in the communities where they serve, where they walk the beat, where they walk the streets. That's problem number 1. Problem number 2 is that we have seen over and over, whether it be via zero tolerance policy, arrest policies, or whether it be because you have these crazy traffic violation laws that are sort of put in place to help the states, help the municipalities make money, or be it because of stop and frisk, or whatever, you have police officers that target populations of color. And when they target populations of color, you have instances like you saw in the Michael Brown case, where police officers use excessive force, awful language, they have no respect for the community, they intrude in the community, they create really, really bad relations, and then when they create the bad relations, they end up shooting the people, saying, well, it's not our fault. Because, all black people are criminals, or all black people are hoodlums, or all black people are potential suspects. America, we indeed have a problem on our hands. A problem, like I said before, and I will repeat this again for the record, of epic national proportion. Too many black lives are being sacrificed because police officers are not given the proper training, 2, some are downright racist, and 3, and most importantly, you have legislators and politicians that have passed laws that destroy communities, especially communities of color, and police officers that use those laws and prey on those laws to divide community even more. I talked about this in a show a couple weeks ago. We spend way too much in incarcerating people in this country. Last year alone, our nation spent $80 billion in incarceration. Yes, $80 billion. And now you have, and we've talked about this in the show before as well, private prisons, right? So companies like the Corrections Corporation of America, where they basically go in, they buy prisons from the government, they give the government a cash payout, but require the government have a minimum number of prisoners in each prison, i.e. meaning the government, in order to fulfill this sort of thing, ends up putting more people in jail. Let's end mass incarceration, let's train our police better, and that is what we should be doing on the 1 year anniversary of Mike Brown's death.